YouTube, welcome to the top 8 of the Meta Weekly. We're starting this off with no Fiendsmith as we have Crystron against Blue Eyes. Crystron is a deck that you are all sleeping on. You better learn how this deck works because I think it's about to become a lot more popular, especially after a ban list we'll likely be having very soon that will be knocking down the other decks without touching Crystron in any way, unless they decide to possibly hit Zombie Vampire. That would be quite a hit as they are enjoying the Millennium engine, an incredible engine. And by watching us as long as you can, even if we're on in the background, that greatly supports these videos. Hajime.
There can only be one winner, and you're looking at it. Let's go.
Begin. Full loss in the draw phase. Ash negate. Ain't no way. I don't think so. Maxi in response to the Ash. Gone with the grave. Finger the Maxi. You will not fool Maxi me. Now, we could have had another Fool loss, which would have been activatable. Why? Because I don't know why. Why did they do that? Why would they allow Fool loss activatable more than once in a turn? We have Barrel setting up the Lordy Load here. Lordy Load searching our deck for a Drill Beam, which is not activatable. So we're now going to go into a Spirit with Eyes of Blue. Eyes of Blue, search for the Mausoleum. Mausoleum is going to get a Blue Eyes White Dragon into the graveyard. And now we're going to Spirit with Eyes of Blue, reborn the Blue Eyes here. We do want to at least set up a Heretic Seal. So we'd have the Drill Beam plus Heretic Seal, Imperm, and the Droll. We're going to have Quadra Disruption. Or we don't want to go into the Heretic Seal, I guess. So the situation is, if you Heretic Seal, you can't activate Drill Beam unless the Heretic Seal goes through, returning a card back, activating, summoning a Blue Eyes from the deck. If you don't have a Blue Eyes in the deck to summon, then your Drill Beam is not even activatable. So instead, we have triple Disruption, and we got the Recursion of the Barrel ready. Do we Drill Beam this? I mean, this is very powerful. We will be setting up 7750 damage on the field. One of our monsters will get pushed back. They can go into a Zombie Vampire, Little Knight. You know, a lot comes from this, and we are allowing it to go through. Now, we could draw on Lockbird instead of using the Drill Beam to stop the majority of those plays. We now can't use the Inclusion by opening up with Ascension first, so we discard Inclusion, summon from the deck of Tristaros into a Baron freaking DeFleur, Omni Negate, Inclusion, mate, reborn from the grave, our Tristaros. Baron DeFleur, attempt to pop a Blue Eyes White Dragon while I have more than one. Now I have none. We know for sure that Drill Beam cannot be used, but we're out of plays. In response to anything activating, which could be the Barrel, we could chain Tristaros, go into a Dragster, which will now be pinning down the Drill Beam. And if we try to imperm the Dragster, the Baron DeFleur will negate the impermanence. So we're gonna have two bodies to negate both forms of our disruption. And exactly what I suspected. But if we negate Maxi, we're now not negating the impermanence. I mean, we have to negate that Maxi, mate. So now I'm going to imperm, negate you, and this is where we would chain our Droplet to dodge the impermanence, but there's no body on the field. So you can argue that Tristaros done goofed by not waiting for there to be a body on the field. We have the Barrel, which then if we chained, then we chained, then we chained, we then Droplet, chain, send to dodge the Imperm to then negate the Barrel, and that possibly would have been a lot better. So always think when you have your Droplet, maybe make your plays once they commit to the field. Droplet is going to get reducing. I don't know if, is the battle phase details bugged for me? I'm seeing a lot of people not using Droplet in the damage step. I'm pretty sure I have it on to show, right? Battle phase details show. Is the replay bugged? Are we really just not damage stepping our Droplet today? I think it's been 3 times now. Lordy Load, let's summon our Blue Eyes onto the field. Drill Beam, get Banishing. We want to use the Drill Beam because it's recyclable and grave as long as we control a Primite monster. Not a normal monster, it's gotta be a Primite to reset. And the Barrel does not allow you to even use the Drill Beam. That's when you would also need the normal monster. We now have the Heavenly Spheres. What are our forms of disruption here? We could return a face-up card back, we could Drill Beam Banish, double disruption. Let's go. Erratic Seal, summon from the deck here. as we are now going to be setting up the golem into the back row. Drill Beam is going to negate and banish mate. Be gone. Well, we have inclusion, which is full combo if we have a Sulfador already in graveyard, as we didn't search it. That's great. Now, what does full combo entail? We're going to at least have an Infinity. We can maybe make a Quarion play instead. If we Quarion banish both Blue Eyes White Dragons. So when I'm banishing Blue Eyes, I'm looking for, do they already have a Roar in graveyard? Because Roar allows them to grab back Blue Eyes. Otherwise, without Roar and the Blue Eyes is banished, they're done. And they still have access to Roar, unfortunately, so that wouldn't be a one and done, be gone with all the Blue Eyes White Dragons. We're going to pop the Crystron Synchro, summon for the deck, 2 level 5s. That will be our Cyber Dragon Infinity. We're going to Reborn for damage, and instead of going for the Infinity of main phase 1, we're just going to get some damage in. Unfortunately, not lethal damage, as we now set up our Disruption. Nova into, well, first we're going to use the True Light before the Nova turns into an Infinity, which would negate the True Light. The Infinity can negate once per turn, so let's just get the negate going right here, right now. True Light was still able to sneak off an activation without getting negated. Nicely done. We have Majesty successfully in our back row to non-target get poppin'. What are our disrupt? We have negate a spell trap, negate anything, pop 1 to 2 cards on the field, triple disruption, and let's see what's good. Barrel, add back to our hand. True Lights, attempt to set from the deck. Cluster could only pop face-up cards. So we're activating the cluster to get popping. We're chaining the Majesty to pop the cluster. We're activating Dragster to negate the pop, so the cluster goes through. Negate the Majesty mate. Cluster successfully resolving. Wiping away 2 cards because we have a Crystron Synchro. And we still have Infinity, allowing them to set the Drill Beam. The Infinity is 2,700. We're going to take out the Dragster and not the... we got reduced because of the Crystron Synchro reducing by 500, mate. What the heck? Cluster wiping out 2 cards again just by having a non-disruptive Crystron Synchro on the field. We're just continually popping 2. Pop 2, pop 2. Let's hop into game number 2. Are you ready? Begin. Fua loss. Ash, negate that Fua loss, mates. Allow me to make my plays, as we now can do so. We're going to be having a Droplets. We have essentially 2 board breakers through the Golem, which could get 7750 on the field, plus push a monster back. We could Droplet, negate multiple monsters on the field. The problem with Droplet against Blue Eyes is they're going to have a lot of disruption in the hand and the back row. They could search for a Veiler. They have possibly a Drill Beam, as you can see here, or a Majesty in the back row. So the Droplet being used on maybe just 1 Blue Eye Spirit Dragon Synchro is not going to be that crazy. Let's speed this up. Reborn the blue, trigger the Maiden for the go into the Blue Eye Spirit Dragon. We have the Majesty as the load summons a Blue Eyes going into another copy of the Spirit Dragon. So this is where the Droplet being able to negate 2 monsters is actually pretty good. We have the Majesty, Ogre, Drill Beam, Spirit Dragon. I'm going to count as 5 disruption. It's technically up to 7. I'll just call it 7 until they jump off the field or get negated. Well, we're now down to 6 disruption. Ultimate Spirit. Let's see what's good. The Spirit Dragon actually stops a powerful Crystron play. If we were to, Konami, show this correctly, thank you. Tristaro says, summon 2 Crystron monsters from the deck, and a lot of you forget that the Spirit Dragon says you can't do that, just straight up. Cannot summon 2 or more at the same time. Not possible. Ogre, pop the Golem. Forbidden Droplet, send 3 cards to the graveyard. Drill Beam, no way! We didn't have a spell card to send. We lost 3 cards and we got negated. Why do you even have a Drill Beam? Did we search it? Was that public knowledge? I feel like we didn't search that, right? I mean, I see the loads. It was like load negated or something. There's no way we searched it and we did that. We set. We activated load for barrel to then. Bro, if he set load, he has drill beam. Right? Like, we know it. Like, that's not a maybe. Why would you set a dead load if you don't have drill beam? That was pretty much, I have drill beam. Well, yeah, he could, if he did send a spell, he could still chain a trap if he had the Active Majesty, right? Or he could chain the True Light Majesty to the droplet. So just send a trap and a spell and a monster. Not a big ask, I think, right? I love normal summoning Tristaros before they activate their hand traps, and then even being able to chain to a Max C, that feels great. Oh my Jesus. I mean, eating an imperm, like, this is extra. We don't need this for our plays. This regular normal summon, I am loving it. Unfortunately, what I'm not loving is the Max C, though. That is something we don't have a way to stop. So it did stop us, and the Tristaros, which ate the impermanence, still on the field, still activatable, activate again, getting immense value off of this Tristaros, which can now summon into a Dragster. Spell and trap card negate, mate. Purge turns off Dark Water Fire, so Ash Blossom cannot be used for the rest of this duel. And you don't play Little Knight anyway. You turned off your Typhon. You cannot activate Typhon. We have Spirit with Eyes of Blue searching for the Mausoleum here. Mausoleum, send from the deck a Blowing White Dragon, boost. We are now going to reborn our Blowing White Dragon, trigger the Maiden, as we now wipe away the Dragster, unfortunately only at 2,000 defense, set up the wishes once the, oh my Jesus. Max C, man, Max freaking C. Start this off with a Lubellion searching for Serenir here, set to pass. Banishment is dead. We do have Super Poly, though. Magnum Hut, banish away the Lubellion, search for a dragon in the end phase as we High Spirit, send Serenir plus Titanclad to search our deck for a Quem here. The Titanclad could summon an Albaz during the end phase after they have Super Poly'd us. Quem, send from the deck our Branded Fusion, Retribution, add back that Branded Fusion. And unfortunately for Pesh, we have no way to stop that Branded Fusion play. Send from the deck Lubellion and Albaz for the Albion, as the Albion now fuses away with the Albaz and Grave. Knowing that that is our only Albaz, we got to grab it back, and then Serenir is going to double banish it. So this is what I've continually been saying about the emphasis on getting an Albion onto the field to then trigger it in Grave through a Lubellion, is that it makes you susceptible to a potential Bestial on your Albaz, and this is that moment. Because now, if we were to have summoned the Lubellion Fusion, a Bestial does not matter. We got cut off from being able to go into a Mirror Jade. No Mirror Jade now. As we have Borload Fierce instead, we randomly sniped that Super Poly. Perfect pop on the Borload, forcing its activation to fuse with the Albion plus Borload to give us a Garura. Now the Quem is going to trigger, reborn the Albion Branded back onto the field here as we send to the grave to reborn our Bestial Lubellion to now set up a Branded Lost. Now Banishment can reborn the Albion that fuse with either side of the field, also triggering the Branded Lost. Tragedy is a brick, and I'm seeing a lot of Branded players just taking it out, including myself. We have a Branded opening being set into the back row, as we already have the Banishment also searching for a Serenir with the Magnum Hut. The Banishment is still dead at the moment as the Aluberg grabs from the deck our Branded Fusion. Branded, fuse it up, chaining the Branded opening to the Branded Fusion. What is going on here? We're setting up a double Quem. Quem's a good way to get an Albaz into the graveyard. We're going straight for a Mirror Jade by sending the Garura. Quem is going to be triggering Tragedy, also searching our deck, as the Quem also further triggers to reborn an Albion instead of an Albaz. Now, the Albaz in Graveyard does not work with the Banishment. Banishment cannot reborn Albaz. It needs to be a Despia or a level 8 properly fusion summoned monster. thus not having the way to reborn the Albaz. Instead, we're sending a Quem to add back within the end phase, ideally. We're going to crash our Aluber into the Lubellion, Retribution, add back the Branded Fusion, which will be discard fodder for our Branded opening. Discard, come forth, we have our own Quem to send from the deck to the grave, a Cartesia to recycle back if we sent a Fusion to the graveyard, which we did. Goodbye to your Albion Branded Dragon as we trigger the effect of Quem to reborn our Cartesia. Now we have a way to get the Mirror Jade in graveyard to then reborn with the Banishment, which could fuse with the field plus non-target monster banish again. And then we also have the Magnum Hut, we also have the Brandon Red. We got lots of disruption through this. And notice how the Cartesia did not add back because we did not have a fusion monster in graveyard. It got banished instead. Now we have Nibiru. Normal summon the Aluber here on summon, search in our deck for a Branded Fusion play. Now, this is a very tricky scenario. This is a situation where we could go into a Star Source and pop both back row cards and they can't respond. You can continually lock them out of responding as long as all of your fusion summons are on Chainlink 1. So we could Chainlink 1 into Albion, and then Chainlink 1 into Lubellion, and then Chainlink 1 into a Star Source, and then Star Source pop both back row, and we can't use it. Whoa, we're actually not chaining anything. So do we play Star Source? Surely we do. Not play Star Source. Huh? Okay. Can't respond, can't respond. What the heck? Cartesia is here. Mirror Jade. They can't respond. They cannot respond. They still can't respond. Non-target monster banish, can't respond. Banish, can't chain anything. Use up, still can't chain. We could Borload, pop a back row, and they literally cannot chain. No chain. Wait, was your Chainlink 1 on the Fusion? You did not. So we Fusion summon on Chainlink 1 in response into the banishment. We didn't have the window to Borload, get banish poppin'. You freaking what, mate? Banishment of our own, Aluber Chain, reborn, Borload, get poppin'. Brandon Red, add back the Albaz. I think, I mean, how is we not playing Star Source? Star Source is too good to not be used, is it not? What happened here? I'm trying to wrap my head around what freaking happened. We didn't toggle on. Right, Pariah, can you confirm this? They should not be chaining to Cartesia. Cartesia should have been in response to the summon, not activated in an open game state. So this should have been dead, and we could have chained, even used Borload in response to our own summon, because this just does not make sense. The banishment should not be activatable, is what I'm saying. So I think we didn't toggle on. That really messed us up. But I think we could still win this. For Scanian, because the banishment being on Chainlink 1 means that they would not be able to respond to its summon. We're now going to Mercurier, negate the Magnum Hut. Not today. As the tragedy triggers, we're going to not even trigger. We're just going to use its open game state effect to set the Brandon Red. Say goodbye to the Star Source. Herskenian is going to be burning after destroying a monster by battle. 3k to the face, lethal damage. Oh my Jesus. Nicely done. You know, you have no Star Source, but you have a Borload, so I guess that can make up for it. And just remember, when you are fusion summoning, the most relevant part of the Branded Lost is going to usually be when you summon a Mirror Jade with your toggle on. In response to your own Mirror Jade summon, toggle on with Lost, non-target monster banished, they now can't chain. And Star Source, you don't have to toggle on. Star Source, you can literally toggle off. On toggle off, Star Source summons a trigger effect. You will just be activating in response to your fusion summon that had to be on Chainlink 1, could have popped the back row, or, you know, if you have quick effects that are not trigger, that's when you have to toggle on to Borload, to Cartesia. Fusion deploy. A lot of people are taking fusion deployment out for a lure. Some are playing both together. We're going to Albion send from the deck of Retribution, chaining the high spirits to the Albion. So we're not going to draw a card, but we get an Albaz monster in the graveyard. It counts as Albaz as we grab a Quem. We do have our normal summon, Quem, send from the deck a branded fusion, Retribution, add back that branded fusion. And with no Ash in hand, we going in. Branded fuse it up. And this is a situation where, remember, the Bestial stopped the Albion from going into a Mirror Jade play? Well, this is not the case because we now have 2 Albazes in grave. You have the Fallen of Albaz Albion plus an Albaz to ensure that we can at least make a play if they were to chain a Bestial. I did not notice this. There's like hands and feet in her thing, like holy crap, and they like wiggle in the animation. That's wild. Grab a Mercourier for our monster negate. Now, how do you Bestial against a branded deck if you want to stop their end phase effect? You have to toggle on. It has to be at the end of their main phase. Unfortunately, we know there's a Mercourier already, but still, the Mercourier stops Serenir. Serenir does not get destroyed. It stays in the hand, and then you would stop the effect of the Albion branded. Because the turn player entering the end phase, they have priority to use a trigger effect or a quick effect before you could even activate yours. Now, if they have multiple triggers in the grave, it's going to be important which one they activate first, and then you could respond to the activation of the trigger or the resolution of the trigger. But once we enter essentially an open game state like area within the end phase, it's going to be the turn player that can choose to resolve or activate effects. Set up the banishment. And, you know, you could argue, oh, Serenir for banishment's better, but why not both, right? Force them to Mercourier to stop the Serenir summon, and then they can keep the Serenir to also banish the banishment. Aluber is here on summon, searching for nothing as the Mercourier negates. Uh-oh. We do have a follow-up deployment, and when there's bodies in the field, we could potentially go into an Albaz. We're going to instead Cartesia. Cartesia is here, branded in white, using the Albaz in hand. We're going to go into a Guardian Chimera, which pops 2 plus draw 1. Well, we had no way to chainlink block. We did, but we just didn't do it. I'm not saying that we should have chainlink blocked, but it does stop it. And now if we have another way to get into a branded fusion, they already used up their Ash. So the chainlink block would be Serenir. You put Serenir on the higher chainlink here to the Chimera activating. Ash does not negate. You pop 2, you draw 1, but probably still lose. You know, and Serenir's for the banishment. Again, I'm not saying we should have used Serenir. It was just an option to chainlink block to stop an Ash. We got no disruption whatsoever. As the Gold Sark banished the Tragedy. Grab an Aluber here. Come to me. Branded Fusion. Fuse it up into our Albion. You want to focus on summoning Albion if you have any other dark monster anywhere, so that we can keep the Albion on field to send it to the graveyard through a branded in white, a Cartesia, ideally a Lubellion. Lubellion gets it engraved for free, so we don't have to activate the Mirror Jade here. We keep it. And if they're setting a branded in red, I'm thinking they already have banishment, but that's not even the case. They just don't. But Pariah's being old school here. Ad libitum was an OG branded. So with the branded in red plus the libitum, that's going to be a reborn on Mirror Jade and a Chimera play. This is beautiful. So we have non-target monster banish. We have copy branded fusion again for another form of disruption. We have the Chimera pop cards on the field, and then Mirror Jade reborn pop cards again. We have Mercourier search. We have Super Poly to fuse with the field. About 6 forms of disruption, I'd say. Whoa, hey, welcome. Now, it is funny we drew Maxi, but Maxi is still good here. It's great. I mean, part of all these disruptions I'm talking about is summon, 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 special summon, special summon. Fusion, duplication in response to the Max C. And we better have another Mercurier here, right? We want to be able to search a Mercurier with the branded loss, I would think. Yep, we got more than one. Of course, the 60-card deck, we have the room. Gold, Sark, Banish, our own Mercurier. As we search our deck for Albion Shrouded, which could draw a card. We send the Retribution. We didn't chain opening. We now have a Mercurier if we can get a Fusion out. The Bellion searching for a Serenir, which can chain banish the Ad Libitum, as we now make an Aluber. So here's what I would be thinking. If I know they have a Serenir, they added it, I don't want my monster to get banished. So obviously we have Mercurier to negate, but if I have to use Mercurier on something else, like maybe the Aluber, my other idea would be on the resolution of Super Poly, use the branded in red. Super Poly's got to be chain link 1. They now cannot chain Serenir to the branded in red, making its play. And now we don't have a negate for the Serenir, as I just said. We're going to non-target monster banish on top of negating it. Sure. Negate. And now I'm really, okay, he preempted the Serenir. We don't have to worry about Branded in red being stopped here. Rebellion, Serenir sent from the deck a branded fusion, which we can grab back with the Retribution. We are now going to Branded in red, Ad Libitum, which is going to turn the Mirror Jade back on. Chimera, get poppin'. We cannot negate this with Ash because of the branded lost, and because we put this on Chainlink 1, it's summon. The summon of the red being on Chainlink 1 is the important part here, and also we Chainlink blocked the Ad Libitum. Now, even under the effect of Max C, we still special summoning. We have non-target monster banish. We have Rinbrum, negate an extra deck monster. We have Super Poly mates. We're going to Mirror Jade, non-target monster banish here. Banish. Both players really holding on to their Super Poly. When are we using it? Now, Pariah is under Max C, so we're going to be more hesitant to want to use Super Poly ourselves. Rinbrum would negate and return back the Albion to the extra deck. Mercurier is going to negate the negate. And now Pariah just has Super Poly, which results in them drawing off of the Max C. Rebellion on summon, discard the Serenir, fuse here into a Star Source. I mean, now we got a Super Poly, right? And our Super Poly can't be used until you Super Poly me. I then draw a card and I can now discard for Super Poly. And if I'm Pariah, I'm thinking I keep on giving them all these draw, which will result in them inevitably drawing into a Super Poly of their own. We're doing it. We are doing it. Give them a draw, use up the fields, as we now have a Dragostapelia, which can negate a monster on the field. We drew into a branded in red. Do we discard the branded in red? When are we Super Poly? We're just gonna sit, we're gonna wait, we're gonna chill. No use in using it early. Albion setting up the banishment. We held on to the red. This is either a mistake or we're gonna use it in the end phase. The mistake was thinking that the Super Poly needed a card to discard, forgetting that the card Tija was gonna add back to the hand. If we don't use this in the end phase, then it obviously should have been set. Even though, it has to target a Despia or Albaz in the graveyard, and we don't have a Despia or Albaz, so it's not really that big of a deal that it's still stuck in our hand. It wasn't even activatable, to be fair. Banishment can reborn back in the field any of our level 8 or higher fusions and then fuse with either side of the field. Now, the fusion summon, it's not fully like a Super Poly. There's a restriction. It has to be a level 8 or higher summon, so no Garura, no Moo Dragon off of the banishment resolution. If we could just let them overcommit. If they're not threatening my back row, go all the way, and then I'm going to Super Poly it all away. Now, Retribution negates the activation of an effect that includes a special summon. So if we could set up a branded loss, that would, whoa, what the? We can't chain it. That's the problem. Chain link 1 of fusion. We're now in a window where the lost protects us from, and we did toggle on. We, previously we did not toggle on in response to our own fusion summon, so we now ensure that we did, and they could not chain the Super Poly. Which I think that officially now means the Brandon Red not being set was a misplay, because it could have decreased the chance of the Super Poly getting popped. Banishment, Retribution. If we had our own Lost, Retribution would not negate. Where's our own Lost, mate? Didn't it already get popped? Yeah, Lost would protect from the Retribution. And what's crazy is, how do you know they're fusing with the Banishment? It does not matter. It includes the effect of fuse, thus even if you don't fuse, the Retribution can still not negate it. And that includes Brandon Red. What if they're just intending to add back? They're not trying to fusion summon, they just want to add the maybe normal summon. It's the Lost just fully protects these cards from activation negates, which is even more important against a deck like Crystron, a new deck in the meta that has a bunch of activation negates. Albion, oh my Jesus, Pariah, oh my. We have quite a large field here. I think a big part of the mirror match, obviously, is the branded Lost management. Protecting your Lost, keeping the Lost, getting rid of the opponent's Lost. Where you have them in situations where they can't respond to your effects, that's when the big plays are going to happen. Get wiping. Oh my Jesus. We're going to Cartesia, add back. We have a Brandon Red, which the Retribution could very simply negate, mate. We're going to Boar, load it up. Not even bother. I mean, what were we even doing off of that? We don't even have an Albaz in Graveyard. Lethal damage. Very happy that both of you were able to play again. It was very much enjoyable to watch. Branded versus branded. Top tier player versus top tier player. I am loving it. Let's go. Begin. Pike, discard Shadow, which will activate to summon from the deck. Pike grabbing the Shrine. Chain to Max C. We have Call by the Grave to Finger the Sea. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 cards in grave. We can't Elemental Lord, discard your hand. What do we do? Now we have 8. It's too late. Can't Elemental Lord now. Yep, that's trash. Let's discard that out of our hand. Wow, that would have been an instant surrender had we been able to Elemental Lord them. Minstrel, mill 3 cards off the top of the deck randomly, putting the Dragoons back on top of the deck. We are going to be summoning our turn 2 board breaker because when Poseidon is sent to the grave, it can discard a card to then reborn a bunch of bodies from the grave. Discard the Prince. Let's get reborning. Got our Tuna, plus level 3. Coral Dragon, when sent to the grave, will draw a card. Let's send it to the grave for a Deep Sea Prima Donna. Get that triggered draw. And when Prima Donna is sent to the grave, it's going to return the Nibiru back into the deck you go. Now, what are our disrupts here? The Mermail and the Ice Jade cannot be targeted thanks to the King protecting them. Now, that's not a form of disruption, but it does add to our board presence here, which is an important factor. We have the Ice Jade Gamer, which will be able to, in response to anything activating, chain banish it. So that's 1 disruption, which will be good against the Senjin activating the back row to summon, just banish it away. Now, we have another disruption through the Dragoons and the Mermail Abyss. We discard Dragoons to activate the Abyss to search our deck for a Mermail, but we don't care about the Mermail. We care about the Dragoons searching our deck, which could search our deck for a Prince, or it could search for the Infantry. And comboed up with the Shrine, we could discard the Infantry to pop a card in the field plus draw a card. Now, why would we want to search for a Prince? We would need a Poseidra in grave to reborn with the Prince, which we don't have, so we don't search Prince. We have double disruption. Let's go. I don't understand why activate this early. Why? If you activated this in response to a Senjin, you banish it. So we're now 1 disruption. And now they have a Senjin that we could have banished. Scared of Raigeki? You could chain it to Raigeki, though. And we searched Prince? Not infantry? How do we disrupt with Prince if we don't? So we have 0 disruption. Just 0. Huh? Senjin is here. Golem? Wait. Matru, did you subscribe earlier saying this is your first time playing Mermail? I think you did, right? I think you said that. You were just learning it. Like, you're on the fly, clapping, and you still did very well enough to clap it up. He says yes. It's his first time playing Mermail, and he just did well enough to get in the top cut, which is immensely commendable. I do appreciate that. That was good, that you were able to do well enough to clap it up despite being inexperienced with the deck. But that's okay. I think you probably learned a lot from today, yes? And I do want you to play the deck again. Or maybe just win this whole match. Let's see. Sam D is here for topping on the first try. Does that mean that Mermail is that good? Damn. I guess if you are new to Mermail, just pick up the deck and clap fools up. It's all good, my friend. Don't worry about it. Let's hop into game 2. Game number 2. We have a Gam Seal Sea Turtle Kaiju. Ain't no way. Discard the Shadow Squad, grab a shrine, trigger the Shadow to summon from the deck our Prince. Now, they still have combo. Sulfaneer and Thisfern is a play here. Let's go. Dweller's going to turn off the graveyard, though, so it's not a play. Oh, my Jesus. Shrine is going to be chaining to the Call by the Grave. Discard Dragoons. Draw a card here. Forbidden Droplet is going to attempt to negate and successfully do so onto the Dweller to ensure we have a play. Goodbye to the Droplet. This will ensure that for the rest of the turn, we cannot be destroyed by or banished by card effects. But you drew into Max C? Oh my Jesus. So it looks like Max C's done. Well, wait, Max C, we have Max C. Your name is Max C. This Verdant Search, so we can discard with Sulfaneer. And now we are pretty much done here, as we can't commit to too many plays without getting blasted by the Max C. The ability for Crystron to one-turn kill is not very good, especially if we don't have the Millennium cards, which definitely helps out a lot with that. So Fedor, send 2 cards here. Smyger, search our deck for a cluster, mate. Wow, we're really... I mean, we could search for cluster off of this. Nope, we're balls deep in. Maxi, don't care. Crystron, level 7 Synchro here. Let's activate, add back the Smyger. I mean, I should flame on for you, right? If you're going to be going nuts, then we're going nuts. Nuts it is. YouTube's lagging. Crystron, level 7 Synchro, reborn the Tristaros back onto the field. Sulfador, pop, reborn from the grave. We can give a monster an attack position that could suck, but still, we're not even close to lethal damage. 4,500 plus a suck, 4,700. Let's keep on going. Chanbara, Kopbara. There's still, this can't be enough, right? Reborn, 75. But Boost can attack again, 6,150. Even with the immense power of a Chanbara, not close to lethal, kind of close. 650 was close. Good try. But now with 12 cards in my hand, we could time out maybe. The game state could be too complicated to make the most optimal plays. Let's discard the Prince, summon the Poseidra, trigger the Prince, reborn, send infantry. We're going to bounce back to the hand, pop a card, and also be able to reborn. So let's now pop, take out the Chanbara. When sent to the graveyard, it does something. You can target a banished Speedroid and add it back to your hand. Very good. Let's Kragan, pop away the turtle we gave you. 6,400 damage on the field. Not enough for lethal yet until now. Now we have game. Send the Prince, summon Atius, 8,100 damage. Nicely done. Lethal damage. Let's hop into game 3. We have the Golem. Get Ash the effect of the Golem summoning so that they're not setting up a bunch of bodies onto the field. Now, normal Thisburn, pop with the Sulfador. That is the way. That is a play. They still got Fool Lost, though. So Smiger is going to be banishing, grabbing the Inclusion. Inclusion is going to be searching our deck. We already used up our normal summon. Grab a Tristaros as we now hit him with the Fool Lost. Every summon from the deck or extra deck will be resulting in us drawing a fat single card. Summoning from the hand here is fine. And we simply just pass. That's it. If we really, holding the Fool Lost for the last possible moment, what would have possibly happened is they have a moment where we know they can make the Crystron level 7 Synchro. We Fool Lost, they stop right then and there. If we wait for them to commit into a guaranteed draw, the guaranteed draw would be the Tristaros activating to pop the Synchro to summon bodies from the deck. We get that guaranteed draw. Tristaros still reborns from the graveyard, but I think this is still okay. We have Droplet and the Cluster to pop. We could Tristaros turn into the Dragster, or because we have a level 5 in the field, we could summon a Citri. Citri, Tristaros, and Sulfador turn into a Wham Bam, thank you ma'am, banish 3 monsters on the field or grave. We don't want that to happen. And knowing we're playing against Mermail, we don't want to turn this into a Dragster. Spell and Trap card negate. Ain't no way, mate. Let's return back the Pike. Draw into a Max C. That was pretty nice. Let's send the Mermail squad. Trigger the squad and the Poseidra. We're going to go for the back row Droplet. All right, Droplet's gone. As the squad now summons a Prince, Infantry is going to force the activation of the Tristaros as we chain Max freaking C. Oh boy, this is what I just said is going to happen to Quarion. Quarion banish time. Uh-oh. Banishing 3 cards from the field and or grave. That was something. Now we are discarding our Elemental Lord, searching for another Shadow Squad. We have not used up our normal summon yet. We're going to Shrine, send the Tias, summon for the deck the Deep Sea King. Now, this activates in an open game state, so we could have used Cluster before it activated. As we discard to summon for the deck Double Pike. Double Pike into the Kraken. If we destroy the Quarion, it activates to summon a banished monster. Burn for 15, reborn the turtle. It's not a form of disruption, not a big deal. What? Inclusion has effect on the field. I know that effect. The effect of a Crystron would be destroyed by battle. Each turn it is not. Wow, interesting. We're going to use the effect to pop the Stealth Kraken. Kraken could have summoned the mini Kraken if we're playing that nonsense, which we are not. We now have the Mermail Abyss discard search for nothing as the Droplet negates. Now, with Shrine, if we have Shrine in the graveyard, I thought we had Shrine. What happened to Shrine? Shrine got banished? I don't see the Shrine. Am I out of my mind? There's the Shrine. Shrine needs a water monster in hand to discard to then draw a card. Unfortunately, we don't have that. You can actually discard any card to draw a card. And that is when we would trigger an Infantry or trigger a Prince to reborn a Poseidra if we have one. Why the heck do you have an animation, Chanbara, mate? Chanbara can make a second attack during each battle phase. Star the damage step, receives a Babusta plus 200 attack. Is this lethal damage currently? So it's 22 plus 24, right? 4,600. As we reborn the Quarion through the effect of our Crystron Synchro level 7, we can also suck up the Abyss Lacia. Give it that good suck. Yoink. As it says 79 on field, but thanks to the Chanbara, it is enough for game. Finish him up. Quarion, lethal damage. It's, water versus water in a way. Crystron's mostly water. Nicely done. Let's keep on going. We have Imperm. Just Imperm. Unexpected die. Could have been another hand trap. So, that is the trade-off you willingly make when putting in extra cards like this. It makes your deck a bit spicier. and more powerful, but, you know, less non-engine, less hand trap disruption. We have zombie, vampire here. Let's mill. Nothing is the imperm negates. It would be milling 8 cards total. Grab a card among those 8 cards, summon 1 onto the field, 4 from both players. As now further turn this into our Moon of the Closed Heaven. It do be that way. Yup. All right. The power of Snake Eye Fiendsmith is what I'm assuming you are playing, right? No, you're just Fiendsmith Control, actually. Correct. Because you're confusing me. Millennium and Fiendsmith Control? What's going on here? Well, Justinian, I believe, is not playing Primite to make room for the Millennium cards, and it works out. Did you not just see? Are you not convinced at how powerful the Millennium cards are from that turn 1 player playing right through an impermanence like nothing? We have 2 special summon negates, a Veiler, a Pop with Ogre, a Finger, and a Fiendsmith in Paradise, which will send a monster or any card in the field to the graveyard on special summon. That's 6 forms of disruption. They're an imperm. Unexpected die. We drew a brick. So, see, you know, we got a brick. We have a non-hand trap. We're going to negate the unexpected die. I'm not trying to be overly critical here. I just want to be understood the trade-offs we make, and I know that he understands it himself. It does make the deck more interesting, and in some ways better if we could actually whip out that DPE. Barrel getting Veilered here. No set of the Lordy Load for you. Now, let's see what we do from here. Engraver grabbing from the deck are Tracked. Tracked will be negated by nothing, as we can negate the Lurie instead with the Wave King Caesar. Lurie activates, Call by the Grave, finger it, hold on to the Caesar. And I'll just keep on yelling this from the rooftops that Caesar gets 100% countered by Millennium. Millennium can't be negated by Caesar, Doom Dragon push it back, and then full combo from there. So when you normally do your Millennium combo, you summon a Doom Dragon and you don't activate it because there's nothing to push back. But with the Caesar on the field, it's just for free, not an inconvenience, not in the way whatsoever. We don't lose a card, we just push it back and then we play it like normal. Let's hop into game number 2. Set and pass. We have non-target pop plus impermanence, double disruption. Do we have also the Fiendsmith in Paradise? Yes, we do. So triple disruption. We're going to not lead with the Millennium cards. Instead, Engraver, grab Attract. And then also Fuelos. Sure. Tracked, add from the deck our Lurie. Lurie, get Reborning. When is the most optimal moment to be using our DPE? We can non-target pop the sequence before it activates. We're going to use the Lacrima, summon our own Requiem to get into the graveyard our Fiendsmith in Paradise play. Lacrima Crimson Tear, send from the deck here. If we know that they want to DPE our sequence, let's force them to DPE early, potentially, by summoning our Engraver, equipping the Requiem. And this is a pivotal moment because the DPE needs to be destroyed, and the Engraver will send it, not destroy it, thus it won't be reborning. We're just going to activate it right now, pop the monster where the Requiem is equipped onto. We now have Primite Roar, which we have the Elemental Hero Neo, so I was thinking it doesn't work with the Dippity. So by targeting the Elemental Heroes, this is when we want to Bestial Banish. If we Bestial Banish, then our monster does not get banished. Do you think that the Ogre's getting banished here? We could banish the Engraver. There you go, non-target banish. And after being fully expended, we're now going to summon a Millennium. But it's okay, we have impermanence, right? Well, we can't imperm the Senjin. Okay, we can't imperm the Golem. When the heck can we freaking imperm, mate? We're now going to Wedju Temple, set up into the back row, come forth and summon. Are we going to imperm a freaking Snake-Eyed Doom Dragon? It's now going to push back. I guess yes, we are. No, we're going to imperm instead the Ogre. I think we're just flailing our arms here. And just like that, the OTK capability of Millennium is happening right now. Battle phase, we win. Did you all forget that a big part of Yu-Gi-Oh! Is big monsters and attacking and life points? I know we all like to forget that, but that's one of the many benefits that Millennium provides. It ends the game for you. OTK capability, board presence, board removal with the Doom Dragon. It makes plays, creates plays, ends the duels. This is the way. 2-0 victory. Let's go. Now, are you ready? Blue Eyes White Dragon versus Fiendsmith Control in the top 4. Begin. Start this off with a barrel, as the barrel could bridge its way into a Sage. Valor negates the barrel. Now, Valor is a card that's best used on a Spirit Link 1, but also the barrel is good enough to also use a Valor on. Ash is best used on a Wishes, but it's also good to use Ash on a Load. And that's why the Primite plus Blue Eyes synergy is so incredible. They're intertwined, they're connected, and they force your opponent into bad scenarios with their negates. Now, we took a pretty good gamble here by negating the Sage. We're coping that they don't have a Wishes, that they don't have another Maiden, I should say. So 2 Maiden, 3 Wishes, 5 potential cards in their hand where negating the Sage would have not been good. But it actually paid off. It worked. We have the Lordy Load summoning from the deck of Blue Eyes White Dragon here. And by working, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 potential disruptions still. The Spirit Dragon can negate the Lurie. I mean, when I'm seeing, oh, we're not grabbing a Lurie here because we know that that would be the case. I was going to say, when I see a track to activate, when I have a Spirit Dragon, I'm happy. Now, we're going to jump off the field, and then we're potentially getting fingered unless the Drill Beam, not Drill Beaming, the called by. We're down a triple disruption. Ash, Magnum Hunt, and Drill Beam. Oh boy. Regained return back, draw a card. We're not ashing that. Lacrima on summon. Manish. We had our Drill Beam, its sights on the Lacrima Crimson Tier. We were not going to banish anything else here. Well, you have nothing else in your hand, so I guess that's a pretty good ash. Where otherwise you would not be ashing that. The Fiendsmith in Paradise is dead, and just like that, we had Valor and Ash. And we still got clapped up by Blue Eyes. Crazy. We have Nibiru, Max C, a Bestial, and an Ash, but we are going first, so it does not matter. We have just a Valor against this, which we're going to ideally use Valor onto a sequence. Now, if we could feel out the Valor and we don't think it's an impermanence, we could instead commit to going into a Wave King Caesar, which then the Valor does nothing against. And knowing that we are playing against a Blue Eyes deck, it's a fair gamble to take instead of committing to the sequence, mate. So let's Reborn, make a Wave King Caesar here, and then Valor did nothing. Otherwise, we're going into sequence. Nope, there you go, Valor. If their field was lighting up at all, it told us that there potentially was a Valor. If I were to toggle off from the start to the end and they see no light at all, they may have committed to a sequence and then you would whip out the Valor at the very last moment and get them good. So with this, they have the ability to go into a Fiendsmith Paradise, send a card from the field to the grave, double special summon negate. We have a Nibiru, a Bestial, an Ash. That's 6 disruption plus a Max C, maybe drawing into more. Oh, Droll. Okay, we're going to discard Wishes into a negate. No cross-out designate, no called by the grave. Now what do we do? We have the Lacrima Crimson Tier reborning here to get the Fiendsmith in Paradise play in. Our Valor being completely dead just feels so bad, as we now have Maiden setting up the True Light. True Light is going to set into the back row our Majesty, but where's our Blue Eyes? We can't. No, you don't get to search your deck for a Blue Eyes, get into the graveyard, that is through special summoning in some way. Not today, Majesty dead. Normal summon Droll. Droll is a spellcaster, which could go into the Spirit Drag. Oh, we go into a Typhon instead. Typhon is here, which will trigger the Fiendsmith in Paradise to send the Typhon to the grave, or the True Light, trigger the True Light, wipe away the Typhon. Majesty is dead. Valor is not going to be so good, as we now hop into game number 3. Now, this is scary. We know we're playing against a deck filled to the brim with endless hand traps. We do have a bunch of bricks in our hand, though. True Light's a brick, Wishes is a brick, the other Wishes was also a brick. We had at least 3 bricks here. With our Wishes discarding one of the bricks, we're going to grab a Maiden as we now whip out the Fualos. Fualos it up. We're still going to commit to the Spirit with Eyes of Blue just to get a Blue Eyes White Dragon into the graveyard through the Mausoleum instead of activating a Roar. We could still activate Roar, though, and we could still Reborn Maiden under Fualos. So this works out. Could even Spirit Reborn the Blue Eyes from the grave. No draw for you. Maiden trigger. Again, no draw for you. If we Synchro, you will then be able to draw. And we really want to Synchro because if Ogre is used on a True Light, it activates in grave, and we could use the effect of the Spirit Dragon to negate our own True Light from destroying our field of monsters. But we're under Fualos, so I don't want to do that. It's like, oh, did he make a mistake? Well, he gets a free draw, which then gives him a chance to further draw into an Ogre. We now get our field wiped, which was not a mistake from base. It was the fact that we're under the effect of Fualos, so say goodbye to our field now. Now we Roar Reborn from the graveyard, which no draw for Fua, perfectly fine, as the Drill Beam is still activatable. We have a Negate and Banish Anything Mates. We're gonna start this off with a Tract. Uh-oh, not looking good for base. Discard the Lurie. I'm gonna flame this on for you, my friend. Let's go. Let's do this. You got this? Requiem is here. Jump off the field. Come forth and summon into a Fiendsmith Engraver. As we now normal summon, commit with our Lacrima Crimson Tear. We're going to banish her away. No send from the deck, and you -1 a body on the field. Uh-oh, we now have the follow-up with the Millennium Engine, which alone is 7750 damage as we now make an M7. M7 detaching, returning the Lurie Engrave back to our hand. We're now going to be activating the effect of the Engraver to Reborn by returning back the Requiem. Activate Track to fuse with the Lurie and Engraver mates. Lacrima is now here. Lacrima can Reborn the Engraver and burn for an additional 1200 damage this turn. Let's go into a Wave King Caesar. And now follow up with the Senjin. Senjin come forth, searching for a Golem. We're going to be using the Doom Dragon to push the Blue Eyes White Dragon into the back row, which should not even be an available play with the face-up True Light. Didn't even activate, Nate. Let's, can it only target an effect monster? I mean, it could have targeted the Blue Eyes, but we didn't need to. Lethal damage. 2-1 victory. Ogre is good. Ogre is great. The True Light, if not Ogre, could have also potentially put an extra body on the field. The True Light while face up, someone may be thinking, he has a Wave King Caesar. This ain't your TCG locals, mate. That Caesar can't negate a True Light that's already face up, activating a special summon a card. Are you out of your mind? Tristaros normal summon to respond to any potential activation of a hand trap. Sulfaneer, pop itself, summon from the deck a Sulfador, send from the deck 2 cards, send a Smiger, grab a... We can negate anything with the Infinity, and we can Dragster, negate any spell or trap card. Now, what kind of negates are they? We really want to be looking into that. The Dragster is going to be negating the activation. Infinity is going to be negating the activation. Branded Fusion wants its activation negated because we have a second copy or Retribution to add back, aka a third copy, and we can continually activate it after its activation's negated. Now, thankfully, they have an Ash to instead negate the effect. So with that, we have negate, Ash, imperm, negate a monster. We have cluster to pop 1 to 2 cards on the field. And then we have Tristaros, which will be dependent on the Dragster becoming level 5 after negating a spell and trap card to then summon from the deck a Citri, which with the Citri and the level 5 Dragster can make a Quarion to banish 3 monsters from the field and or grave. That's going to be 6 forms of disruption. Can Branded play through it? Let's see. Branded Fusion right away, you know, spell. We don't want to negate with the Dragster because we would negate the activation. Called by the Gravefinger, the Ash, we definitely negate the called by with the Dragster. And now that it's level 5, that turns on the Tristaros. Tristaros is now ready. All right. We have Albion Shrouded send the Retribution. And are we going into Quarion right now? Quarion? No, instead we're going into a second drag. 2 Dragsters! And Dragster is not a hard once per turn. Okay, instead of Quarion, we got Dragster. Negate, mate. Well, nicely done. Let's keep on going. Let's go. Deploy a Cartesia onto the field to help play around an impermanence. You now can't imperm the kits. You can't imperm the Albion Fusion. You can't imperm the Lubellion Fusion. You can't imperm an Aluber. No imperm in sight thanks to the Cartesia, as we could safely use Branded Fusion as long as they do not have an Ash. Activate as long as you have another dark monster. This is what you want to go for. You want to send Lubellion from the deck to the graveyard to give away to get the Albion on field into the grave, or the Cartesia could instead get it into the grave, as we have a Lubellion Searing. Sent to the grave, reborn the Lubellion. As we now set up a Branded Lost, we're going to imperm onto the Lubellion before it activates. Now, there's a bit of nuance to this. If we waited for the activation of the Lubellion, we obviously would quickly chain the Cartesia to dodge the impermanence, and then there would be a face-up Branded Lost. So quite smart from LBF Max on doing that. We're going to be fusing anyway after that has been negated, as the Grand Grenelle sends a Titanclad, which now gives us a Quem on the field. We're going to add back the High Spirit, summon a Quem, send from the deck Cartesia, and we already have Albaz in graveyard, so we didn't have to send it again. We just sent another copy. We set up Retribution. Interesting. Retribution will negate a special summon. The Mirror Jade will non-target monster banish. The Quem will reborn Albaz to fuse with their field into a form of disruption, and then the monster we summon will be a disruption. We also have a Serenir, but against Crystron, it's not going to be a disruption here. Definitely not. So you have about 4 forms of disrupt. All right, let's see. Retribution. Negate the Sulfanir effect to summon a monster itself onto the field here. Negate and destroy. All right, now down to triple disrupt. Smyger search in the deck. That is a bait since we already have Inclusion Mate. Inclusion will now be searching our deck for the Sulfador. Sulfador is going to be summoning itself onto the field. We could trigger the Grand Grenelle if we want to, and we are. Grand Grenelle is really good for getting a Quem onto the field if we want to, but we already have Quem, as the Ash now negates the Grand Grenelle. That's fine. We still have Mirror Jade, we still have Albaz, so the disruption count did not go down by Ash and the Grand Grenelle. We have Thisford searching for a Tristaros. We have not normal summoned yet. We're now going to non-target monster banish, so we're now down to 2 disruptions potentially. The Cartesia is actually going to be giving us a 3rd extra disruption. So very nice adding onto the disruptions. Instead of using Quem to reborn Albaz, we use Quem for Cartesia to then fuse with the Mirror Jade, as we now can negate a monster on the field, fuse with the monster on the field, and then disrupt with the monster we fuse into. Back up to triple disruption from 2 to 3. We have Turtle after normal summoning, the Tristaros, summon a Sulfanir. Do I have the in-game music off? No, I have it on. We now have Samurai Destroyer. Negate and destroy the Dragostapelia, now down to double disrupt. We can fuse whenever we want with the Rinbrum. We are going to be banishing the Inclusion Reborn, now going into a Nova. We gotta fuse with the Nova, and the Nova states that if in your possession is sent to the graveyard by your opponent's Albaz, you could special summon a Makaba from your extra deck. I don't think we play Makaba. We don't. So, as I said, we're going to do exactly what we should do at this moment before it turns into an Infinity. No Makaba in sight, thus we get a Mirror Jade. And then we're on our final form of disruption as they now scoop it up. Should we put Makaba in? Makaba, if they're playing Nibiru and the Nova is your 5th summon and you're trying to go into it to counter a Nibiru, that's when Makaba is, in that case going to be good. But is Nibiru played enough to be that relevant? Let's keep on going. If your 5th summon is the 2 level 5s, then the Makaba's no good. Your 5th summon would have to be the Nova for the Makaba to actually be worthy of being in your extra deck. Senjin. We got Super Poly board break, fusion deployment into an Albaz, which is a board break. So we got 2 board breaks here. The Bystials are not going to be very good against Crystron. Let's see what happens. Set up 2 cards in the back row. Summon, we're going to be banishing the Effect Veiler. Search for a dragon during the end phase. As we now zombie, vampire it up. Mill 4 cards from both players' decks here. As we get to reborn our Tristaros after being sent to the grave. Let's make our Little Knights on summon. We're going to banish away the Magnum Hut. And that was quite unfortunate. The zombie vampire did not result in a main play with our Crystrons. Wow. Quite unlucky. If we were to run the numbers, which I would do another day, I would say that it was definitely in his favor to actually make a much more impactful play than ending on a freaking Tristaros. We have Little Knight Chain Banish. We can go Tristaros into a Dragster. We can call by the Grave Finger. We could Ash. We could Droplet. So, boo-hoo, we only have 5 disruptions. Magnum Hunt grabbing the Albaz. Let's see what happens here. Normal summon Albaz on summon. We chose to not activate, taking out the Little Knight. Albion Shrouded, 10 for the deck Retribution to try to draw a card. Tristaros going to go into the Dragster play. Dragster can turn into a Mirror Jade through Super Poly. Or, if we deploy him, he can negate that. So it looks like we're going right into that Mirror Jade play. As we are now left with a Finger, an Ash, and a Droplet. Triple Disrupt. And a good question could be, what's his recursion looking like? Does he have a follow-up play next turn? With Sulfenir in grave, his chances to have a follow-up play, I would say, are quite good if we draw literally into any Crystron. And the deck is, of course, filled to the brim with Crystron cards. Negate the Branded Fusion. Follow up with the deployment into a Cartesia. This is main phase 2, so we're not threatened into getting lethaled here. We're going to finger the Alt Art Cartesia. That is the one that you would want to use that on. Negate and banish. And then we have Droplet left over. Branded in red, grab back the ad libitum. Pariah, what is this, like 2023 branded here? Guardian Chimera, ain't no way. Pop 2, draw a card, reborn the Mirror Jade. You're gonna make me want to play ad libitum again. Very spicy. Negate. No pop 2 and draw. Instead, I will pop my 2 cards myself and you just don't get to draw. We gotta play. But the Mirror Jade non-target monster banishes here. And do we have an Albaz in grave? We do, which means we could send a Rinbrum to reborn the Albaz to fuse and then fuse into another form of disruption. So with just 1 Mirror Jade and an Albaz in grave, that's triple disruption. Oops. So when do we optimally want to use our forms of disrupt? Sulfenir, send for the deck, Sulfador on summon triggers. We're going to send an Inclusion, which could reborn a monster. Smyger could search our deck for the Inclusion to search our deck for any Crystron card. This for searching for any Crystron monster. Could start this off with a Tristaros, which could respond to the Mirror Jade to summon a monster from the deck and then Synchro. Search for a cluster already, planning for another turn. As we now have our Crystron Synchro on summon, search our graveyard or banishment to add back to our hand, as we're going to non-target monster banish it right here, right now. Is that the right moment to banish? I would say you can wait for the Tristaros activating to non-target pop a Synchro, and then you just banish their only Synchro, and then they use up their hard once per turn effective summoning 2 monsters from the deck. We're going to add back the engraved Tristaros. We have the Turtle to summon the Tristaros back from the hand. We have the Sulfador reborning itself back onto the field here. We're going to use the Inclusion to further reborn. And just like the previous duel, this is when we summoned the Albaz. Did we send a Rinbrum? I didn't even see. Yes, we did. And just like previously, bro, we got to play Makaba. You're telling me twice they get rid of your Nova and you got no Makaba? Is there a better card than Makaba to be summoning? It has to be a Machine Fusion. What are the best Machine Fusions we could summon here? Ain't no freaking way. Makaba's just the best? Makaba's the way? Chain Tristaros, summon from the deck, come forth and go into a Samurai Destroyer. Fuse up with the Nova, and of course the Nova is not going to be triggering. And remember, the third form of disruption is whatever we fuse into. We had the Mirror Jade, we had the Albaz, we had the Borreload. We're going to attack, get rid of the Mirror Jade, set and pass. Borreload is going to pop the back row card, as the Albion's going to set up the Banishment, which could just reborn the Mirror Jade back. Oh my Jesus. I'm like kind of trolling with Makaba, but kind of not. I probably think we still lose, right? What are the coolest machine fusions? Machine fusion. Chaos Ancient Gear Giant. Well, I don't think we could legally summon that. It does. How's the Infinity say? It's wording. Makaba, we had a trap in hand. I don't know if we had a way to also search for a monster. It's pretty much, Makaba's just the way. Yeah, we can't even legally summon the ABC Buster. Yeah, okay. Let's keep on going. Grand Finale. Are you ready? We have Justinian with Fiendsmith Control, but without the Primite. We took Primite out for the Millennium Engine instead, and I could not stop ranting and raving about how powerful the Millennium Engine is. It is creating boards, protecting boards, breaking boards. It is nuts. So let's see what happens in the grand finale. Begin. We have the ability to set up a Fiendsmith in Paradise, which could send a card from the field to the grave. We could Imperm, negate a monster. We could Chain Banish with the Little Knight. We could Veiler, negate a monster. We could Banish from the grave. We could Banish from the grave. We could Banish a monster that's summoned for the extra deck. About 7 forms of disruption. Did I miscount? Where did all this disruption come from? Super Poly with the Little Knight. Fuse it up. We now have our Mirror Jade. We can now negate with Mercourier. Retribution, we'll be adding back the Branded Fusion. As we Branded Fuse, it's up. Send the Lubellion and Albaz to summon an Albion Branded Dragon. As we now have to respond to a potential Bestial banishing our Albaz. Is that our only Albaz? Well, both of our Albazes are getting banished, which will stop us from what? We already have a Mirror Jade anyway. Do we even care to Mercourier? Nope, I don't care. So what we're left with after the double banish is the Fiendsmith, Imperm, Veiler, and Baldrake. Quadra Disruption. Dragos Stapelia is here. Trigger the Mercourier to add back here. Magnum Hunt's going to be activating a Search for a Dragon during the end phase. We're going to tribute off the Magnum Hunt to banish away the Dragos Stapelia. Dragos Stapelia is going to negate. We're going to Veiler. Negate. The negate. We are going to Mercourier. Negate. The negate, negating the negate. Imperm. Even on top of that, negating the negate, negating the negate, negate. Negated. Negated. And what do we have from here? We can still thrust. Are you ready to get thrust? And what are we thrusting into our hand potentially? We still have Fiendsmith in Paradise. We're not done. Our final disruption. We went through all of it. We're going to non-target monster banish, and that was smart from Pariah, because now how do you get Fiendsmith in Paradise and Grave without cheating? You can't. We're gonna banish the Lacrima, turning off the disruption. Not gonna happen. Goodbye. And at locals, you just still pick up your deck, drop it in. Why not? And let's grab a Triple Tactics Talent. Take control of the Baldrake, summon into defense this turn. Unfortunately, we cannot attack with it, but the Millennium downside, you're at 4,000 life. Damn. Did we lose it because of Millennium? No. I mean, what were we really? We still had activated fusions in the graveyard set up. I mean, I think we had Engraver in the grave still. Good job to Branded. Normal Lacrima, Crimson Tier. I'm not sure if Justinian is playing more than one Crimson Tier. I don't think I've seen a second copy throughout the entire day, though. Oh, okay. The tragedy right away on our, main phase 1, banish, set, branded fusion. That is a situation. And let's talk about our disruptions. And you may, Abyssal banished before. No, that'd be cheating. We cannot banish the tragedy before it activates. So our forms of disrupt here are the ability with Lacrima Crimson to reborn a Requiem, which doesn't exist, so we can't go into the Fiendsmith in Paradise. We have Imperm Negate, we have Nibiru Mate, we have Druid Swarm Banish, we have Little Knight Chain Banish, we have Double Special Summon Negate, and then we have Regain, Reborn, Baldrake, Tribute off to then banish a monster from the extra deck. About 8 forms of Disrupt. Maybe 9 if we're tributing off the Druid Storm to then send a special monster to the graveyard. That is super inflating the disruptions here. It's like a fake 9 amount of Disrupt. And what's important to note here is the Wave King Caesar negating a branded fusion ensures we can activate another one. Oh boy. Game 3, this is game 2, mate. We're going to be grabbing a Serenir with the Lubellion, Albion Shrouded here, send the Retribution as we randomly get an Alubur. Imperm negate the Alubur. Someone said earlier today they wish that every hand trap was like Imperm, where you have to control no cards to activate from the hand. And I followed up with, that'd be great if Imperm was also a monster. That would then make it much more balanced. Being able to set the Imperms on top of all these forms of disruption we have is absolutely disgusting, Konami. Negate the Lubellion, mate. And it's not Imperm specifically, it's all hand traps, being able to use them on top of your built turn 1 field. We now have the Wave King Caesar, Nibiru, Baldrake, Druid Swarm Send. So we're at 5 disruption potentially. Druid Swarm, banishing our own M7. That's now gone. Lacrima Crimson, reborn the sequence back onto the field. Getting ready to potentially fuse again. How many Light Fiends do we have in the grave? Not enough to keep the sequence on field. We're just turning it into a Requiem. Requiem from the deck. Lacrima is here. Send the Engraver here as we return back the Requiem, summoning our Engraver. And we are no longer we do have the ability with the sequence to send to the graveyard a monster on the field. Say goodbye to the Lubellion. As we send Druid Swarm to summon our Lubellion, the Alubur is normal summon, so Druid Swarm cannot send it to the graveyard. We're going to set up Ascension from our deck, drop ourselves down to 1,800 life, with over 11,000 damage on the field, taking this into game number 3. Lethal damage. Very nice. Can Caesar negate Branded Fusion? It can negate it, but it negates the activation, and then another copy or adding back with Retribution, we'll just use it again. Let's see what we do. So we're not going to play around the Veiler nor a Droll here. We're going to hold on to the opening to see what they have. We're going to send a Tragedy, search our deck for an Alubur. Sure. We're going to allure Darkness, draw 2, banish Mercourier, trigger to search our deck for an Albaz monster here. Got Cartesia. We need an Albaz engrave to summon Cartesia. The Valiant searching for a Magnum Hut. We're going to branded opening, discard the allure, summon the Quem. Quem is now going to get negated from getting an Albaz engraved to then turn on the Cartesia to special summon, which would then protect the Alubur from a Veiler or Impermanence. Now that we don't have a play to protect Alubur from Veiler or Imperm, we're just gonna go in. And you may be thinking, bro, he searched Alubur and you negated the Quem. Why would you not negate the Alubur? You can't negate Alubur with a Veiler with what we knew through public information. Send Albaz, summon Cartesia, then normal summon the Alubur. We would dodge the Veiler. Branded Fusion, send from the deck. Incredible Ecclesia. I got to copy your deck list, mate. I am more than happy to make use of the 9 incredible alt art Ecclesias I pulled on my way of trying to just get a 3rd Albaz, as we now have a Mirror Jade. Send the Albion branded for the Bestial Lubellion, set up our branded Lost. And what are our forms of Disrupt here? Albion not done, setting up a Retribution. Nicely done. This is 60 card branded. So we do have the ability to non-target monster banish. We can negate a special summon. We can Reborn to then banish their field, and we could then go into a form of Disruption. We can Albaz fuse with their field if we have a way to get Albaz in grave. We have Lost Searching for a Mercourier, and we also have a Magnum Hut. I think we have about 6 forms of Disrupt. Golem into the back row. Summon Searching for a Wedgie Temple we already have in the hand. Senjin into the back row, searching for another copy of the Senjin. As we now have the Wedgie Temple to put the Senjin into the back row to now summon our Doom Dragon to push a monster on the field into the back row. We're going to push the Mirror Jade, trigger the Quem, Reborn the Ecclesia to go into the Albaz, which we very much wanted access to. So we're now going to non-target monster, banish with the Titanclad being sent to the grave through the Mirror Jade. As we Reborn the Albion to now fuse with either side of the field, we can fuse with the Doom Dragon. And from there, I don't think we even play Star Source in this deck. We're going to be fusing with the Doom Dragon and Mirror Jade. Instead of a Star Source, we're going to go into a Dragostapelia. Now, let's update our forms of Disrupt here. Ecclesia. Oh my Jesus. Ecclesia is here. They're under the effect of Max C now as the Lost searches for the Mercourier, negate a special summon mate, fuse their field into a Disruption, into Dragostapelia, negates. We're now going to negate with the Mercourier as we have about 4 forms of Disruption left. Battle phase we go. Let's take out the Quem. There's nothing to fuse with the Albaz here as we add a Quem from the deck. Instead, we could have summoned an Albaz from the deck to fuse with anything they potentially have. And just like that, Fiendsmith is falling. Proof that Fiendsmith is balanced, right? Lethal damage with the incredible Ecclesia. Damn. All right. Or the good non-Fiendsmith decks today. We had Crystron, non-Fiendsmith. Blue Eyes, non-Fiendsmith. Branded, non-Fiendsmith. Meta Weekly top decks. Woohoo, what? Crystron? That, I mean, I've been saying people have been sleeping on Crystron, but I didn't mean it was this good. Wow. I think what happened is a lot of people joined the World Champ qualifier and got their cheeks absolutely clapped and obliterated by opposing Crystron players to the point where they're like, screw it. I'm gonna spend my gems and money to build the deck, and they're like, wow, it really is that good. I don't think it is a tier 1 deck right now. I think it is a solid tier 2 deck, so I think it's underrepresented on the tier list right now. In terms of the tier list at the moment, I agree with just looking at tier 1 and 2. Wait, it's tier 2, so now I agree with it. Boom. What I don't agree with, I think Branded's a tier 2 deck. I think right now Fiendsmith Control and Snake Eye Fiendsmith are solid tier 1, the top 2 best decks. And yeah, Memento, Blue Eyes, Crystron, and Branded, I think that's a solid top 4, but just right under Fiendsmith Control and Snake Eye Fiendsmith. And you know, it's interesting, these 4 decks besides Memento are, you know, there's a lot of Memento players that are doing well even without Fiendsmith, and Fiendsmith does really seem like it is adding a lot to the deck. There's a lot to Memento to even fit Fiendsmith in. You are making some sort of sacrifice by putting Fiendsmith in Memento. I think so. You know, a good sacrifice, that is. Let's see what else. What is good here. And Branded, Blue Eyes, Fiendsmith Control. There we go. You know, where is Snake Eye Fiendsmith if it's so good? It just didn't show up this week, you know. There was also, it was Father's Day and the World Champ Qualifier final day. You know, a lot of people that are maybe just burned out or knew that they didn't care about the rest of the World Champ Qualifier, they decided to clap up the event instead. And that's great, that's fine. So let's see what's good. Horus. That's what we're calling this? Okay. Yeah, oh yes, Horus, my favorite deck. This is Horus. So as you can see, it's 60 cards, but mostly it is Horus. So it's got Millennium, Fiendsmith, it's got Ken and Jen, it's got Sky Striker, but most importantly, it's got the Horus. So good job, Vua. Congratulations for doing well on this. Let's see what else is good. We have In for Noble Knight, FM Productions, after winning last week, clapping it up again, getting the top 16. super large deck. What I'd be interested in is, I'd probably look off stream, is what I would want to do is check out what's the difference between your two decks. Are they exactly the same? It actually looks like the main deck does not change, just on first glance. Yep, I mean, I'm switching the decks and it's exactly the same. Good to know. Sometimes after playing an event, a player will be like, hey, you know what, I want to switch this card or that card. You know, it happens all the time, especially when you're playing on the ladder for, maybe 10 duels, you'll switch something at least. MD Chimera. We are clapping it up with Chimera. Very nicely done. Good job to you. Beansmith with it, of course, with the added benefit of the Necron being able to summon a Light Fiend from the deck, the Adusted Gold being that Light Fiend. And what's crazy is that if you really are coping, the Baphomet could send a Fiend card from the deck to the grave, which could help, try to pop off with your Fiendsmith plays if needed. Evil Heroes, Khan. Good job, Khan. Okay. Evil Heroes the way. This is how we do it. 52 cards. It's a bloated deck. There's a lot of cards you have to force into the deck to make the deck work. Mermail Atlantean. Nicely done, my friend. Matrow, you did well. Matrow said that this was his first time ever playing the deck, and I guess the deck is that good where you still do very well with the deck. Nicely done. I think he definitely had a really good grasp of turn one plays. There was a little bit of a struggle, I think, with the Shrine and the Link 2 follow-up during the opponent's turn, but that's okay. He did really well. Good stuff. I'm happy he played it, and I hope he plays more of it. And then I think we got Blue Eyes here. Base G. Looking good. 40 cards clean. And then we have Father Eisen with the Blue Eyes Jet Dragon, the 41st card, right? Just toss, you got your 40 card deck and just throw in the Jet the last second is how I would like to imagine we built this. Got the 2 Kaiser Seahorse with no Parry Reese map to make up for the missing 3rd Sage and Maiden. Of course, is not a good enough replacement, but, we got to do a little bit of copium. And then Fiendsmith Control. This is a deck I would be liking to be playing. Yep, no Primite in here if you're sick of Primite. And also playing with the Millennium Engine. The Millennium Engine is just so freaking good. So if we take out the Primite, we +2 Lacrima, and then we add in Millennium. That was the trade-off. It's also a 45 card thick deck. And then here is the extra deck. Very good. Below. 50 freaking cards. We are playing Fusion Destiny. It's not just hard draw Fusion Destiny, it's also just make the Anaconda. Anaconda's banned in the TCG and OCG, so let's make use of it in Master Duel by just, get 2 bodies together. Is it one of the OGs? I don't want to say the OG. OG put 2 bodies together for a cool play. And also playing Moon with it. Good job. And then what we have here is Branded. First freaking place, we'll just look at this right now. We got some OG cards in here. OG being the Ad Libitum. This card has been completely removed out of Branded. Part of the OG was you would activate your Mirror Jade turn 1. It wouldn't even be activatable during the opponent's turn because that was our way to get Albion in the graveyard. And then with Albion in grave, we set a Brandon in red. With our already activated Mirror Jade, we would want to Brandon in red with the Ad Libitum to then reborn the Mirror Jade for our first official banish. But in today's Branded, we could banish and Ad Libitum return it back and then banish again, which is exactly what Pariah has been doing. I think it's definitely spicy. I'm not sure how many people this will be convincing to play it themselves, but I did enjoy the plays. It looked good. I think I'll at least be testing it out. So good job, Pariah. And then Pesh. I think that's also so special. I mean, look at this whole 60-card deck, and I could just look at one card and be like, damn, it was doing stuff. Also, I should mention, the Clasia was cool also. So Clasia could summon from the deck. Very nice. Get a Clasia. Also, fodder for adding back in the end phase also works with your new alt art if you want to be showcasing that. And then we have Pesh with 45 cards. Looking clean. We got the Fusion Deploy instead of Allure, where above we saw Allure and Deployment being used. Super polying it up. Yup. Good. Looking quite standard. And then let's see what else is good. Crystron. Wow. I'm going to have to go to the top decks page to properly compare all the Crystron Mad Lads. So let's click on tournaments, last 7 days, meta weekly. I think we're a bit clogged right now. There we go. Crystron. Woo. Millennium, 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 Speedroid with Millennium and Millennium. Millennium is too good to not be playing. Let me swap my camera over real quick to not be annoyed about this. It's all on the right side? Okay. So, Morpho. 40 cards, anything out of the ordinary, anything too crazy here. Looking pretty standard in the main deck. We have the Excel Synchro Stardust in the extra deck. I don't think that every single person will be playing that. Maybe they will. I'd like to see that. Let's see. Another Excel Synchro Stardust. We have Nibiru. I don't think that was in the other deck. We got 1 Droll, 2 Droll instead in this list. Everyone's going to be maxing out on the Droplet. It's too good in the deck. Lots of resources. We could just have it in the graveyard. Good job. And then we have another map. So this is Morpho, Avalon, then EMGH. What else do we have going on here? No Excel Stardust Synchro. That is okay. Looking good. Nothing too crazy in the main deck. I'm looking for Turtle. Is Turtle in here? No Turtle. I don't play Turtle myself. No Turtle here. So Turtle or Tortoise, I forget. Again, no Turtle in the third deck list for highlighting. We got a single Droll in here. Very nice. And let's now also check this one out. This is with the Speedroid. 43 cards. So a lot of people, they question Speedroid or Millennium. Straight up, I think Millennium is better. It does a lot more overall on the grand scale. I think so. And you know what? Jim Fandango said, sure, fine. Maybe I'll concede that, but how about I play both? And that's exactly what he did. So good job on that. Benny, send from the deck. We're not playing the rank 3 Xyz that can negate a monster effect and both players draw a card. And okay, looking good. Let's check. And also it looks like at the cost of not playing Photon Lord, putting the Benny in instead. Then we have LBF Max C top 4, the best performing of the Crystron players here. Let's see. We do have a Turtle in this one. Okay, that is good. And across the board, Sulfador is being played at 2. 2 Sulfador, 2, 2, 2. 3 Sulfaneer, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3. Yep. You know, all of them are locked in on those ratios. We have Valor, where the other Mad Lads are not playing Valor. Triple Valor, 42 cards. And very well done. Good job to you. Good job to all the Crystron players. I'm happy to see that I think the deck is in its rightful place at tier 1. Not tier 1. I don't think it's tier 1. I think it's tier 2. Tier 2. Tier 2. Even though it is looking like it's soon possibly maybe sneaking on to tier 1 soon, actually, with a performance like this. Yeah, that was good. So thank you very much, everyone in the event. For those that could show up despite it being Father's Day and the World Champ Qualifier final day, I'm expecting the next Meta Weekly to be with a new ban list